In 2003, amidst the chaos of the Iraq War, a young soldier named Mark Williams was gravely injured when a landmine exploded. Pulled from the battlefield, with his body riddled with shrapnel, he tragically lost both of his legs. Returning to his country, Mark found himself physically and emotionally shattered. But the deepest wounds were inflicted on his family. His wife, unable to cope with Mark's changed demeanor and physical disability, began to drift away from him. Over time, her love faded, and she eventually left, taking their son Alex with her. In an instant, Mark lost not only his family, but also the very meaning of his life. Confined to a wheelchair, he was left to endure a life of solitude. Years passed, and Alex grew up, but his surroundings led him astray. Living with his mother in a rough neighborhood, he fell in with the wrong crowd. Exposed to a life of petty crime, constant fights, and bad influences, Alex eventually dropped out of school. For Mark, his son was little more than a distant memory, until one day everything changed. Mark received a call from the police, informing him that Alex had been arrested and had given his father's name as his emergency contact. That single phone call would alter the course of Mark's life forever. Mark had spent every last penny of his savings to post bail and get Alex out of jail. His hands trembled as he handed over the money to the lawyer. It had taken him years to save up that amount, but seeing his son walk out of those prison gates made it all worthwhile. As Alex stepped outside and caught sight of his father, a disdainful expression crossed his face. "You came for me?" he asked coldly. Mark, approaching his son gently, replied, "I'm here to take you home, Alex." But Alex sneered, "You never taught me anything, so don't start trying to fix my life now. I don't need you." Those words cut through Mark like a knife. He had longed for his son's presence for years, and now Alex's scornful words left him shattered. Yet Mark held on to his love and patience. "I understand, Alex," he said quietly, "but please, let me try to give you another chance." Alex shrugged dismissively. "I have no choice but to come home anyway," and walked ahead. Alex moved into his father's small and humble house. Every corner of the home bore the weight of Mark's difficult past. His old wheelchair, faded war medals, and yellowed newspaper clippings. To Alex, the house felt like a prison of memories. "This place is like a museum, Dad. You can't keep me trapped here," he snapped one day. Mark, trying to keep calm, replied, "This isn't a prison, Alex. It could be a fresh start." But Alex pushed back at every turn. He kept finding ways to reconnect with his old crowd, slipping out late at night to meet them. One night, Alex returned home in the early hours of the morning, only to find Mark waiting for him at the door. Mark's eyes held disappointment, but he didn't raise his voice. "Alex," he began slowly, "I know what life out there has in store for you. I know where that road leads. But I want to offer you more. I'll do whatever it takes to help you, but you have to want to help yourself first." One morning, Mark decided it was time for a serious conversation. He rolled his wheelchair closer to the table and fixed Alex with a determined gaze. "Alex," he began, his voice steady, "I fought for this country and lost my legs doing it. Do you understand what that means? Every morning when I wake up, I relive that moment. But I fight to keep going because giving up is easy. Pushing forward takes courage." Alex sat in silence, stunned by his father's words. Mark continued, "If you give up, Alex, then so will I. But I don't want to give up on you. You're my son. You're part of the pride that runs in my blood. All I'm asking is for you to believe in yourself. Just once." Something inside Alex began to shift. His hardened emotions started to crack, but the weight of his past still loomed over him. "Dad," Alex said, his voice faltering, "I don't know what to do. I feel lost." Mark reached across the table, placing his hand over Alex's. "You may feel lost, Alex, but you're still here, and that's enough. If we work together, we can rebuild this life," he said with unwavering belief. That day, for the first time, Alex began to consider his father's words. He saw the pain, the struggle, and the unconditional love his father carried for him. As Alex lay in bed that night, Mark's words echoed in his mind. "Give yourself a chance. If you give up, then so will I." Those words planted a small seed of hope in Alex. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of the darkness, but nurturing that seed into a flame of change would test both Alex and Mark's patience and resolve. Mark knew that pulling Alex away from his criminal circle would be no easy feat, but he was determined to give his son a second chance. He enrolled Alex in a local school and arranged for him to receive private tutoring. Despite his own limitations and life in a wheelchair, Mark made every effort to be by Alex's side, encouraging him every step of the way. One day, Alex's teacher pulled Mark aside. "Mr. Williams," she said gently, "your son is incredibly smart, but he needs someone to believe in him. You can be that person." Mark took these words to heart. Every evening, he would sit with Alex, talking to him with unwavering hope and love. "Alex," he would say, "you are my only hope in this world. You can do the things I couldn't. Watching you succeed would mean everything to me. It's what keeps me going." These words began to chip away at the darkness that had consumed Alex. Slowly, he started to see the light his father had always seen in him. However, Alex's transformation didn't go unnoticed by his old friends. They began to feel threatened by his growing independence and tried to pull him back. "You've gotten close to your old man, haven't you?" one of them sneered. "But we know who you really are. You can't run from us." The threats rattled Alex, but he stayed silent, unsure of how to respond. One fateful night, Alex found himself face to face with his old life. A heated argument with one of his former friends escalated into a physical altercation, and Alex was stabbed during the fight. Mark, upon hearing the news, rushed Alex to the hospital, his heart pounding with fear. As Alex lay on the hospital bed, bandaged and pale, Mark sat beside him, tears streaming down his face. He held Alex's hand tightly and spoke with raw emotion. "Alex, I've lost so much in my life. I lost my legs, I lost your mother, and for a time, I lost you. But I refuse to lose you to this life. If you keep going down this path, you'll end up with nothing, just like I did. But if you try, if you truly give yourself a chance, I promise, a new life is possible for you." Those words struck Alex deeply. As he recovered, he began to reflect on the choices he had made and the sacrifices his father had endured. Mark's unconditional love and tireless efforts had created a safe space for Alex to rebuild himself. From that moment, Alex turned his life around. He focused on his studies and began working harder than ever. His efforts paid off when he earned a scholarship to a prestigious university. Years later, Alex graduated from law school. At the graduation ceremony, he spotted Mark sitting in the crowd, his face etched with pride and joy. Alex approached his father, tears glistening in his eyes. "Dad, I did this for you. Thank you for never giving up on me," Alex said, his voice trembling with emotion. Alex decided to share his father's story with the world. He wrote a book titled "The Soldier's Sacrifice and His Son's Redemption," chronicling Mark's journey as a war hero and his relentless efforts to save his son. The book became an instant bestseller, touching hearts across the country. When Mark held the book in his hands for the first time, he couldn't stop the tears from falling. The dedication in the book's preface read, "My father didn't just give me my life back, he gave me hope. He is the real hero." This book was written to share his legacy with the world. The book's success brought national recognition to Mark and Alex. Young people across the country were inspired by their story of resilience and redemption. Mark was even invited to share his journey on a prominent television show, where he said, "I was a hero on the battlefield, but the true heroism was watching my son rebuild his life. I couldn't be prouder of him." Their story became a symbol of hope for families facing their own struggles, proving that with love, determination, and second chances, anything is possible.